Hey there guys, I spent some time optimizing the Clash of Wills Hei'er boss, and now I'm going to show you a way to rank one with a very steady, controlled, clear, turn chart, etc. And I've made some changes from my original run. So we're going to turn on all the modifiers, and if you have these units, you should be able to do a no stress, pretty simple rank one. That being said, you do need, the right units. So we're going to be going with this party. It's pretty similar to my other clear, but we're going to be dropping A2 for Chizuru because she's just a better unit. And we're going to be dropping Cecil for Chow. Now, the magical tank is completely flexible. You can take literally anyone you want because, as it turns out, the boss's damage is very easy to deal with. But we're going to take Chow because he does counter for morale, so he's probably the best option. Anyway, let's get in here and do a clear. I'll have a turn chart in the comments, and I'll explain stuff as we go, and I'll point out things that are important during the fight for you to know about. So here's the ambush. There's an AoE 350 fire and dark and peril on top of the modifiers for dark, resist, etc. So we're going to use Sylvie on turn 1 to do petals and vines. That's for mitigations as well as 80% resistance, and then her Magnus to give some mitigation and to fill the morale gauge. Now notice Chow is with his Imperil and with the gear we're using, with the modifiers and with Sylvie's buffs. I have geared him for 95 fire and dark resist while imperiled. We are not going to cure the Imperil. We're going to leave it there. And we've got exactly enough to take very minimal damage from the boss's magic and still counterattack it. If you're completely immune, you won't counter. Now this is optimizing probably way more than you need to. If you can't gear this exactly, it is not that important. And you don't even need to use Chow. We're going to be very, very overboard on the morale gauge, but I like showing the best way to do things when possible, and I think Chow is probably the best option here. So Chow is going to go ahead and just use magic cover. Do not Omni cover. We're not Omni. We're not doing Omni. Regular magic cover, and then most loyal and true guardian to get rid of those breaks and all that. Chizuru is going to do Eastern Winds, Strong Samurai Spirit, as well as Focus Strength. That's for a 5-stack Mirage for the first turn. 2B is just going to triple cast her Bolting Strike skills in the shift form because they fill the morale gauge. Frievia in the shift form is going to end guard, pressure for the break, and then flick for the sword in peril. And Ayaka will do her LB. Ayaka's LB is innately ice element, and that will seal the boss for us. You got to hit with ice, dark, or fire every turn, one of them. So there we go. We times 5 Mirage the AoE. Sylvie guts the single target physical, and Chow has enough bulk to eat the single target magic which he is covering. He is not provoking though. Don't provoke Chow. Okay, Chow on this turn is going to do triple, and we're just going to fill the morale gauge. So we're just going to most loyal and double guardians just to get some morale up. We don't got to worry about anything. This turn is just some AoE fire and magic, which we're going to cover with Chow and then counterattack for more morale gain. Sylvie on this turn, again, just filling the morale gauge, so pines or vines and double petals, because they fill 350 morale per cast. Chizuru is going to do Beast Killer, not a 3-turn delayed Beast Killer, a right now Beast Killer. And that's going to give us 150 for the party and 250 for herself. 2B is going to do her Shifted LB to start getting ready for bursting. Ayaka is going to use both her cooldowns and both the Magnuses, so we can get a nice big burst on turn 4. And then to the base form with Frievia, where we're going to do field and triple preparation just to refill a little bit of LB gauge for people. Okay, so this turn is going to be just an AoE fire and an AoE dark magic attack. Chow will cover them and then counter because we're not immune. If you had to gear Chow for immunity, it is okay. You just won't counter. As you see on the morale gauge, we're already way ahead of where I was on my original clear. So you don't have to have Chow going bonkers on counters. But if you want to, it is free morale. It's free real estate, so why not? Okay, so now we're going to use Chow to, once again, just keep filling that morale gauge, because why not? So we're just going to cast Most Loyal and Double True Guardian, because those fill morale gauge. And there we go. The morale is maxed out. But we're going to keep doing more in case your party wasn't getting quite as much. We're going to shift and put up Demon Killer with what's her name? the little girl. Sylvie, my god. We're going to do Poach Demon on 2B, and then we're going to do Double Cheerful to fill the morale gauge. Obviously, we don't need to do that at this point, but you might not have had enough morale, so we're going to fill more morale. Chizuru is going to, this is important here, we are going to Brave Shift Chizuru on this turn, start her shifted cooldown, and we're going to type as a spirit in the shift form, because we want her shift cooldown to begin on this turn. 2B is going to do Avoid. We need Mirage the turns. We're going to Avoid with 2B. We're going to use her Light Amplify Magnus only because that gives us a LB fill. It fills her LB to max. That's the only reason. And we'll just fill more morale gauge with True Guard. You know, 2B's morale LB is already filled from just drops, but we're going to do it anyway in case you didn't get the drops. Frievia is going to do... We're going to... I'm sorry, not that. We're going to Triple Prep. Or we can refresh the field. Refresh the field, Double Prep, and Magnus. Let me actually change my turn chart. Okay, now here's the questions I know I'm going to get. What if my Ayaka is not EX2 or EX3 and your SLB is not ready on turn 3? If it's not... I mean, we'll just do it this way. Okay, sure. We're not going to use the SLB of Ayaka this turn. In case your Ayaka is only EX2, it works totally fine. If your Ayaka is EX3, use the SLB. Let me actually adjust the turn chart. Okay, so you're going to SLB if you can. If you can't, you will just times 4 Carol of the Snow for morale gain, because whatever. Now, the SLB is way better to do it there, if you can. We're not going to, and we're still going to overcap, because this team is really good. Now, that being said, it is going to be a big damage loss to have Ayaka not do... You know what I should have done? You know what I should have done? Is the focus skill. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We're going to overcap. We're going to overcap anyway. So here is the turn 4 stuff. Okay. So now we're going to do our first burst. By the way, while we're doing this setup, make sure you don't push the boss below 75% during all these turns, because that'll activate his buffs again. Keep him above 75%. But now we're going to burst. We're going to shift Sylvie. She already shifted. My bad. So we're going to shift Sylvie, and we're going to use her shifted LB for the modifier boost as the first action. We're going to Vision Card Frievia. We are not going to Magnus Ayaka. We're going to just Carol of the Frosty Snow 4 times. We're going to base form LB 2B, and then we're going to shifted LB Chizuru. So we're going to go ahead and chain all these up, and this should be our 2.5 or better. Even though we didn't use Ayaka's SLB, we should still very comfortably push that 2.5 billion. This team is very, very good for damage. Chow is now going to do Guard Dog. We're going to also re-raise himself and Sylvie. He will actually Guts, but it's good to be safe, so we're going to re-raise him anyway, but Sylvie definitely needs re-raise this turn. Okay, so without using Ayaka's SLB, we did 3.2. Heavy overcap. If you're using Ayaka's SLB, you'll probably get like 4 billion. Anyway, there's Chow with his Guts, and there's Sylvie with the re-raise, so we're good. Now we're in phase... Technically, we're in phase 1 still because the boss healed, but we're basically in phase 2. Okay, so now what we're going to do is... We do need to heal Chow, though, because we are taking some damage this turn. So we're going to use Curaja, and we're going to do Most Loyal and True Guardian, because Sylvie did die. We need to get her buffed up again. Sylvie, in the base form, is going to refresh the resistance buffs with Vines and Petals, and we're going to do defense. We need Mirage, so Paladin's defense this turn. Chizuru, in the shift form, is going to use Devastating Samurai Slash. Now, preferably, we don't want to push the boss below 50. We're probably going to unavoidably. Nothing we can do about that. That's kind of okay. Okay, Ayaka can do whatever. You can Carol, you can Guard, who cares, doesn't matter. But Frievia on this turn is going to shift, and we're going to Bind. Bind is going to break the boss again, because his breaks are wearing off. 2B is going to go to the base form, where she is, and we'll just do double R40 and then the pod thing. That's to refill her LB gauge, and hopefully we don't push the boss. Wonderful, we didn't push. Alright, let me change my turn chart real quick. And we'll just guard Ayaka, guard or Carol, whatever. Just don't push the boss below 50 if possible. And if you do push the boss below 50, it's fine. He'll just heal, and it'll be a little bit harder to push the next phase because you'll have an extra 10% to deal. But you should still be able to, depending on your party, depending on your gear. Always the disclaimer. Okay, so this turn, Chao's going to go ahead and just guard, because there's going to be some damage. It's going to hurt a little bit, but he's just going to guard, because really the morale gauge is done. We don't need morale anymore. Okay, so now we're going to do, we're going to use Frievia in the shift form to end guard, pressure, and flick. We're just reapplying all the breaks and stuff. Ayaka is going to either Carol or guard, etc. We'll just have 2B, shift, and guard. I'm sorry, no. Stay in the base form. Stay in the base form, and you'll see why later. So we're going to just guard her in the base form. Let's see. Are we still imbued? We should be. Just to confirm that I'm doing y'all a nice clean turn chart. We are still imbued, so we did damage, so we're good. Yeah, so we're gonna just guard Ayako on turn 6 because whatever. We don't want to push the boss. We're going to be in the base form with Chizuru, where we are going to Eastern, Strong, and Staunch. Sylvie on turn 6 is going to shift. We're going to Demon Killer on 2B. So, let's see. Honestly, I don't want it on 2B. So no, we're going to do it on somebody else. We're going to do it on her. We don't actually want to deal damage. So we're going to Demon Killer herself, because we don't want to deal damage. And Clever. I'm going to do it this way. Because that also gives a long duration AoE Demon Killer is the reason we're doing that. Okay, some attacks. Some magic on Chao. It's a little bit painful here because in phase 2 the boss does hurt more. He has some attack and magic buffs we can't remove. That's why he's guarding, so he's fine. Okay, so this turn we're going to get ejected intentionally, which is again totally fine. So we're going to do 2B as the first action, and I've got her shift form geared for damage. I shouldn't have done that. There's no reason to gear a shift form for damage. We're going to go ahead and do her LB and hopefully not push the threshold. Oh god. Okay, we didn't. That's good. We're going to now SLB your Ayaka, and now Ayaka's SLB will be ready no matter what. Even if you're EX1, it's ready by this point. So turn 7, we're going to Frievia, go to the base form, and we're going to quadruple. We're going to field. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, field. We'll just triple field and inconsistence because I don't want to push that boss. Let's see. Chizuru will do Beast Killer in the base form, and it shouldn't push the threshold because she is. Oh my god. Okay, worst case scenario just happened. We literally pushed the worst. The worst. We're gonna keep going. So we're gonna go ahead and use the shifted LB of you. And we're going to cover, and then re-raise both with Chao. Okay, so the boss is going to be at 60% for our final 2 burst turns. This is worst case scenario, but we're probably still going to be okay. I guess we're actually going to find out, aren't we? Yeah, we pushed him to 50 and he healed by 10%. So I should have pushed way harder. And whoops. Okay, so now it's turn 9. Alright, so now we're going to use Chao's base form LB for Omni Cover this turn. We do want Omni Cover. Sylvie is going to shifted form. We're going to Demon Killer on 2B and double cast Clever. And that should fill up 2B with the gear we've given her. We're going to base form LB 2B. We're going to have Ayaka use her Magnus Finale. Frievia is going to use the card. And Chizuru is going to shift here and use her shifted LB. Okay, and we can go ahead and put up the attack and magic buff. And we're going to do some chaining and push the boss as hard as we can. If you had properly kept the boss at like 51% or so, he'd be 10% lower. But unfortunate, I really screwed that up and pushed the boss to exactly 50. So there's Chao with the double guts. And the reason I said Chao was so good here, he has double guts in the same turn. That's so good because it makes this turn completely non-threatening whatsoever. Now it is time to kill the boss. So let's go ahead and use the morale gauge to attack and magic buff. We're going to use Sylvie to I've Got Your Back on 2B for the big LB buff. And then we're going to do double clever. And then Chow will normal attack, and that should fill up everyone, Chizuru and 2B. So Chizuru will LB, 2B will LB, Ayaka will quad Carol, and Frievia will card again. If Chizuru's LB happen to not fill all the way, just use Devastating. It's a tag chain at this point, so it'll be fine. But it is filled, so we're going to use it. And we're going to go ahead and chain it up. And that should be the end of the boss. Yeah, this should... Ayaka still has the 150 amplify. Yeah, there it is. We still overkill, but so there it is. So even if you mess up the phase 1 setup and you push the boss to 50% by accident and he heals to 60, this team can still easily push that threshold. There we go. So yeah, A2 was a bad option for me to pick earlier. Chizuru absolutely better because she brings Beast Killer. And there's a rank 1. Very, very smooth. No risk. No RNG. Even with the mistakes that I made. Very, very simple rank 1 clear. Here is the damage breakdown. So Chizuru, Ayaka, and 2B are carrying the party. And then Frievia, obviously important for ice support. But her damage is, it exists. And then Chow and Sylvie for these stuff. Turn chart will be in the comments. You can follow it exactly. During the setup turns, like turns 5, 6, etc., where I have the party like not... You saw what happened. So basically, just keep the boss. I guess it really doesn't even matter because the boss literally healed to the maximum possible he could have healed. He healed to exactly 60, and we still killed him no problem at all. So really, kind of whatever. Just follow the turn chart, follow the video. So here is the party that we used. For this party specifically, Ayaka and Frievia are sort of important. If you're not using Ayaka's Ice Amp, you're going to want to go with either a Fire or a Dark team. I guess maybe you still could go Ice team without Ayaka, but I wouldn't recommend it. Yeah, I'd probably say if you're not using Ayaka, maybe go Fire with Roberta instead. Or, you know, if you really want to, you can pull Cleom and try her out. I'm sure she does good damage here. It is her clash, in spite of all her flaws. But, yeah, so... there you go. 2B is not really doing anything unique. She's just here for damage, but obviously she is extremely high damage, so that's why she's here. Chizuru is bringing our Beast Killer, so I would bring just... hopefully most players have Chizuru at this point. She's a Beast Killer source is the main thing, and her damage is pretty decent. Sylvie, everyone should have Sylvie. She's been on like 3 different banners at this point. She's for Demon Killer, and overall does everything. And then Chow is a magic tank. Can be any magic tank you want. Literally anyone. We could have used Beatrix, and it would have been totally fine. As long as you have the resistance gear. Yeah, so there it is. Chow just fills morale gauge. Makes it real easy. So here we go with the gear. So Chow wants... this might be a little bit hard to do. 465 to Fire and Dark. Because you want 550 for immunity in battle after a buff and all the imperils. Or you can use slightly less, that way you can counter. If you cannot build your Chow to exactly 465, it is okay. If you go over, you just won't counterattack. You'll be immune, there'll be no counters, but it's not a problem. The morale was completely easy in this clear. Morale is not a problem. If you're too far under resist, though, he'll take a lot of damage, and we don't want that. So you want to get as close to 550 after a buff as possible. You can go over, but slightly under is optimal. 465 is the sweet spot, and here's how we did it. We're on the Phoenix Esper for plus 70 fire resist. Both of the resist nodes are learned, the passive resist. So 70 fire from Phoenix. Abyss Staff plus 1 or whatever is 30 to all. His own buckler is 40 to both. Chic Summer Hat is 50 to fire. Dark Lord's armor is 80 to dark. Faith's Sworn ring is 35 to each. Blizzard Orb is just counter, but obviously you need counter to Blizzard. Oh, it's also 30 fire resist. Didn't even realize that. We're getting 30 to all from, or 30 to dark and light from the Sylvie card. It also fills morale gauge. Pretty nice. Malefic Heart is plus 50 to both. A lot of this stuff is limited, so you might not be able to go exactly. Guardian Kyrie is 70 dark exactly. Diablo's Synergy is 80 dark exactly, and Ishval's Hero is 80 fire exactly. And all that added together is the perfect perfect value of 465 to both. That is high as you can possibly get without going over. And if you can't gear that exact combination, just make him immune and you'll get less morale. Who cares? If you're not using Chow, make sure your magic tank has guts, though. Whoever it is. If they have it naturally, great. If they don't have it naturally, give it to them. Sylvie. Passive provoke, dual wielding a morale card. If you don't have this one, use her own card. It's fine. Passive provoke and guts. Gotta have a source of guts, because she is going to take a critical hit on turn 1, and we don't want her dying on turn 1. Other than that, LB fill. So shift form, identical. 12 LB per turn, and a lot of fill rate. Chizuru in the base form is, we're actually not using Tybus in the base form. Base form, kind of whatever. Literally whatever, who cares? It doesn't matter. We're not using the base form, really. Shift form is LB damage versus Beast and Demon. She is maxed on everything. There we go. And then Tybus' Spirit in the shift form. Got to be in the shift form for the way we're doing this, because we do the setup on turn 3, and we want that cooldown to be still there on turn 5 for the devastating. And there it is. And then Esther's card. She's maxed on everything. Frievia in the base form, and by the way, the rest of the party doesn't need any bulk at all. You can just ignore their bulk. You do need a tiny speck of defense and HP, but just your natural gearing should be way more than you need. You don't need any resistance on the party. Damage versus both on Frievia. There's the build. She caps everything. Shift form, Celestite Rod, Treasured Ring. Obsidian Bracer, because why not? And there we go. Shift form doesn't really matter. But start in the shift form, though. Ayaka, just damage versus Beast and Demons. There we go. Maxed on literally everything. And what I should have done on turn 3, if we're not using the SLB, I should have done this focus skill. I forgot about it. It ended up not mattering. We overcapped by a tremendous amount. But yeah, if you can't SLB on turn 3 because you're not EX3, then just use a focus ability, or just do what I do and guard. It didn't matter at all. And then 2B in the base form is LB damage versus the races of the boss. There it is, maxed on everything. Shift form. Honestly speaking, we never want to deal damage in the shift form, so make the shift form pure LB fill rate. So Dragon's Brush, Call of the Wild, and give her 1,000 fill rate, 12 LB per turn. Yeah, and also wear the Clash gear in the shift form, because we don't want to deal damage. That was kind of a mistake on my part. Now I know. If I ever do reclears, now I know. And there it is. Turn chart will be in the comments. This boss is very, very easy. You don't need Cleom if you don't want to. If you do pull for her, whatever, do what you want. But that is the super easy rank 1 clear if you have strong units. See you in a bit.